In the summer of 2023, we set out to Norway and Sweden for the hike of a lifetime. Feeling burnt out from work, studies, and the chaos of city life in general, we decided to leave it behind for a bit and hike the Arctic Trail.
The Arctic Trail goes from Norway to a little bit of Finland and then in Sweden. And if you want, you can continue on the Kungsleden. It's a very long distance trail in Europe.
It's definitely in the most remote corner of Europe, in the far north above the Arctic Circle. It's known for being windy and bug infested, and the weather isn't always the greatest. It definitely rains a lot.
We had a book where the trail was described, and the book stated that bugs were going to be the main problem on the trail. But after PCT and GDT, you know, having dealt with bugs and mosquitoes, now you figured, okay, we've got head nets, we've got long pants, we've got socks over our pants, gloves, buffs to cover our faces and necks, so what could possibly go wrong?
In early July, we landed in Tromsø, and our first impressions of Norway were overly positive. Screaming seagulls, forever sunlight, and lots of seafood everywhere. The mountains and fjords were stunning, and we felt at peace almost immediately.
The air is so clean. We've been breathing in and out very consciously. And it feels so good. Our heart rate's probably down a bunch.
We spent one lovely week exploring northern Norway before starting the hike. We took a bus to the Lyngen Alps and we wandered around on foot and slept in some quaint trekking huts.
What did we just do?
We just took a ferry from Tromsø to the Lyngen Alps. It ended up taking about 3 hours. I kind of enjoyed it, but Ilse gets seasick, so it was a little bit of a rough ride for her.
I'd rather not talk about it. All that matters is that we're here. In the Lyngen Alps and the peninsula.
The boat was like full on. Yeah, it was a wild ride for a little bit there, but beautiful. It's incredible country here.
Apart from the black flies, sheep and goats, we didn't see many other living creatures. At least until we hiked to Blaisvatnet. I'm very sorry for the pronunciation. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Welcome to the Miserably, the Blue Lake. The bluest lake in the world, they tell me. We'll see if it really is.
Blaisvatnet is supposedly one of the bluest lakes in the world. And it's true. It's unbelievably stunning. But it sure was one of the coldest plunges we ever took. As always with cold plunging, don't think, but do. After that splendid week, we were totally prepared for the Arctic Trail. Or so we thought. Alas, fate decided differently.
See here, ladies and gentlemen, the slowest packer on earth. Bye, Kotukeno. Bye-bye. Almost there.
A little further, huh?
Yeah. Day one. Tough day.
Super tough day one. We got lost a bunch of times. Not lost, but man, once you start going through those swamps, there's no way to really keep on the trail. You gotta really pay attention to the map. Well, and if you do get off it, good luck. There's some giant holes that'll swallow your whole feet. Probably sink to your hip in some of them swamps.
This is crazy! God damn it. What was I saying yesterday? It's just a mindset. Yeah, I am afraid of mosquitoes. I had several allergic reactions to mosquito bites. So yeah, ever since I've been really cautious, and they can really get me down easily, and that'll be a mental challenge. Yeah, living with them and trying not to get bit, but also trying not to focus on the fact that they're there and they're buzzing around my head. Saved by the net.
The hike's not exactly going according to plan.
True. We were prepared for bugs, we read about bugs, and then we experienced the bugs in the Arctic. I got bit a couple of times by black flies, and the bites have swollen, blistered, and we didn't have much peace or sleep the last 2 days.
We really hoped that we'd have some respite on the top of these bulbs in the wind, but even in the wind, the black flies are still relentless. It doesn't really stop them at all, and they crawl under everything. They crawl up your pant legs, they crawl under your netting for your head net. Yeah, we're covered in bites. Yeah. Covered in bites.
Yeah.
But hey, let's just continue on.
Oh my god, you'll never see me again. Bye bye. I live here now.
All the deed and becardin in the world wasn't enough to stop the stings of the black flies and mosquitoes, and it had taken their toll on my body. An allergic reaction took over my leg. On day 3, we hiked into Reisha National Park, and when we finally arrived at the hut, the Nedrafosshytta, a backcountry hut in the park, the fever had me completely in its power. Pouring sweat, I lay down in bed and let Ryan take care of me.
It's day 3, and things are not good.
Help me, son, help.
Elsa's leg is super swollen, and she has these giant grape-sized blisters from the black fly bites. Elsa just went off to the hospital. She'll be in Kungsleden in about an hour. I would say you don't expect these things to happen, but we definitely saw this as a possibility. And those black flies were really crazy serious, crawling under everything. I mean, she was fully clothed and protected, but they just crawled up her pant leg and bit the hell out of her. So on day one, whatever. I'm gonna keep walking. It might take a couple hours, but there's more of a main road up here. Then hopefully I can hitch in after her and meet up with her there, all treated, and then we can vacation together.
Happy to fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away. Up north where the lakes are crystal clear. They're happy to fly away.
That time in the Airbnb gave us some space to, reconsider our plans. What are we going to do with the rest of the summer? We're here now. Are we hitching back and continuing on, or are we going to do something else, someplace else?
Life is a series of misadventures at times, and since Ilse and I have met, it's kind of been one misadventure after the next.
We know that time is the biggest gift that we can have, especially together. So if an accomplishment goes wrong, don't let it bring you down.
I feel like most couples with work and life obligations don't really get that much time together. And we have spent, for the first part of our relationship, it was like almost every moment of every day together.
Do you take Ryan as your lawfully wedded husband to have and to hold in both good times and bad, in sickness and health, for richer or poor? Do you promise to love Ryan and take good care of him forever?
I do, I promise.
Those are your vows. Not just for today, not just for the ceremony, but forever.
Will you look through my eyes, see the love I have in my...
Our decision had been made. We were in Norway, one of the most stunning places in the world, and we really wanted to see every nook and corner of the country. Only 3 days after our medical mishap, the travel bug bit us again. Since hiking is our way of vacationing, we took a bus and, a few hours later, started our hike on the Lofoten Islands.
We learned that the Sami all leave for the summer, so we were encountering all their homesteads and all their places were totally empty, devoid of people, devoid of reindeer, devoid of really any life except for some birds. And we quickly learned why. They go to the coast where the bugs and the mosquitoes are not. So yeah, we did the same thing. We got the heck out of there and went to the coast.
The first day on the Lofoten Trail was a hard one. I had dreamt about abandoning the Arctic Trail, about failing, as a hiker, as a teacher, as a friend, as a daughter. I woke up and felt pretty miserable about myself. When I saw Ryan meditating in front of the ocean in total peace, I only felt worse because I had no peace. But when I shared my dream with him, my terrible dream, he was patient and kind. He was right. I just had to let it all go. All the expectations and responsibilities.
Yesterday we followed the road.
That day eventually turned out to be one of the most beautiful days of our trip. Maybe even our lives. What a little peace of mind can do.
Fun climb.
It was a famous hike. We were with many people all of a sudden. And then we climbed down and there was this beach, straight from a Viking fairy tale, with huge towering mountains and the sun trying to go through the clouds, and then we swam in the ocean as well. It was new to have mountains so close to the ocean.
We swam in the lakes while looking for starfish and scallops. Every now and then, we came into old little fishermen's towns, such as Nusfjord, with its tiny bakery, with delicious cinnamon rolls, and beautiful whale museum. Fishing really was the main industry of the Lofoten Islands, until tourism took over.
We walked by at one point this thing with just fish heads, fish with the organs hanging out of their mouth and tied from it. I don't know what they do with it. Do they put it in soup or what? But there it was.
Makes you never want to eat fish again. A lot of villages on the Lofoten are like fishing villages. There were some museums as well, some small museums that tell you about the ancient way of living there.
Where are we right now?
In the whale museum. Not in the way of biology, but more in the way of the whaling museum. The hunt on whales. Super controversial topic. But it's a way of life here, has been for hundreds of years.
The Norwegian way of life, it was very interesting. I'm glad to have experienced it.
The Lofoten Trail was fun. We hiked for approximately 4 to 5 days. We didn't actually finish it. We didn't even start it appropriately. Whatever. We were on vacation, remember? We had so much fun hiking the trails, having most of the trail to ourselves, and beating the crowds by walking and not driving around in a car.
It was really fun, kind of adventurous, and sometimes with chains, and climbing up and down, many sheep, and we even saw 2 bald eagles flying overhead. That was really fun. It was really fun. The island life, yeah.
Our trip ended on the ferry of Kirkefjord, where we met some really nice German hikers and Alex, a Canadian hiker. Now it was time to head back to the mainland. So we boarded the bus to Narvik and took the Arctic train all the way into Sweden, where we would start the 3rd leg of our adventure.
So our plan was to hike the Arctic Trail into the Kungsleden, which is probably the most popular route in all of Europe. They also have a really good hut system, so it's accessible to people of all levels and ability.
The trail itself is 450 kilometers. Most people hike it from north to south. In the north, because of its popularity, it's very well maintained. There are many boardwalks, many signs. Further you move south, it becomes a little more wild.
Right, ready to start the Kungsleden?
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Get this show on the road. After our 2 or 3 weeks away from the trail, getting back on it felt incredible to just leave behind the stress of transportation and buses and logistics of that sort of travel, and then just having our backpacks and just walking a continuous footpath felt really, really nice. It was a little bit difficult, challenging as well, just having a backpack on again after so much time without it. And we also carried a lot of food, so our packs were really heavy.
Okay, we're sending some of this to Abisko. Super green in here. A lot of water, a little buggy, but nothing too bad. Feels good to be out here. I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah, the names are super difficult. If it's not Swedish, then it's Sami, and both languages are a bit complicated, but we'll master it after a while.
It's a beautiful evening, and we're excited about the good weather.
We just exited Abisko National Park. It was smaller than I expected. Beautiful, nevertheless. There was a mountain cabin from Abisko 2 kilometers back, but we decided to wild camp tonight, so we're looking for a good spot now.
I get acquainted with the flies and mosquitoes, but they're far more friendly than their Norwegian brothers and sisters.
Going on in there?
Oh, the water's cooking for our dinner. I'm hiding inside because there are bugs. A lot of mosquitoes and black flies, so hiding inside the tent. They haven't really bothered us all day, but now it's sunset.
Next morning, we pack up camp late, as usual, and stay behind the pack of hikers. We're enjoying the sunny day and sing songs that get carried away with the wind.
Is the sun and it shines as it opens. Where your heart is the sun and it shines as it opens. Yeah, your heart is the sun.
The mountains seem bold and far away, and the skies are incredibly open and clear. Brian says that the sky really feels bigger here, like it could swallow you whole.
It was a very strange and different lighting than what I'm used to. That low angle sun in the middle of the day that never actually set, and I feel like there were more clouds. It was a little more dreary maybe than Norway was. We were also fortunate in Norway, we had really good weather.
And they sing with the mountains. Why would you look outside?
We're walking towards Alishavri, one of the STF mountain cabins in Sweden. The STF is the Mountain Association of Sweden, and it has an incredible hut system, often complete with rangers and saunas, and little stores and bunk beds. Upon arrival the next morning, however, we are kind of disappointed when we find the store closed.
All the cabins are shut down. They're still open if people have reservations, but day service, tent service, everything like that is closed.
Yeah, so we are kind of
We keep seeing all these helicopters. There's helicopter after helicopter after helicopter flying over our heads, and we're like, what is happening? What is going on?
third helicopter.
Turns out, a norovirus is spreading across the Kungsleden hikers, and to prevent a trail pandemic, the bathrooms, stores, and sleeping huts are all closed.
Of course, we didn't pre-book anything because we wanted the freedom and flexibility to be able to choose where to sleep. We were thinking of sleeping in a cabin every now and then, which is not going to happen right now.
Well, aren't we damned? Just our luck. Fortunately, we brought enough food to feed an army. So, nothing to do but carry on.
We heard at one point they airlifted 100 and some hikers out in a single day, so the whole trail turned into a, excuse my language, a literal shit show. Yeah, turned into a shit show.
The same day that we received the news of the virus is a particularly rainy one. We climb, soggy and wet, to the Chakta hut with little hope. And yes, we received the same message as everywhere. No walk-in spots available due to the virus. Sorry, folks. The lucky hikers who have booked bunk beds in advance look at us through the cabin windows. We return their gaze in envy, seeing them all warm and cuddled up in front of the fire. We quickly leave the hut behind and drag on to climb the Chakta Pass in the rain and mist. Not long after the pass, we set up our tent and get in our sleeping bags, cold and wet. Next morning, nearly all our clothes and boots have been blown dry by the wind. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
There's this energy, there's this power to things when they're going horribly wrong that can really just make you feel super alive. So when it's like pouring rain and everything else, you just really channel that energy into something that's more like positive and uplifting, I guess. At the very least, just make a joke out of how bad it is. Yeah, try to find the fun in it.
Baby, this is our time to rewrite our American dream. I wanna see the world from the edge of my seat, through a big windshield or a plane, not a TV screen. Don't you need the road to tell you we really are? Find out whether or not a man could ever change his star.
We're nearing the end of the first stage of the Kungsleden and are therefore leaving the crowds behind. We visit the store of the charming Kautumjore cabin with a promise to definitely return in better times and try out the sauna. This is kind of the wild section of the Kungsleden. There's not that much maintenance, there's a lot less hikers. The trail is very rocky. Yeah, we step over boulders and swamps all the time. And there's a lot of boat crossings as well. Big lakes and streams that you can't cross yourselves, because often there are rowboats so that you can row the distance yourself. But for some distances they're just too big, or the current is too strong. So you have to take a boat across, depending on locals or Samis who offer boat services. It's fun, it's interesting. We're kind of tired though. I think we're over halfway. We're on our way to Jakvik to take our first zero. It's a little sketchy, huh?
Yeah, definitely sketchy. Look at that thing, it's ratchet strapped together.
Oh, shut up. The second stage of the Kungsleden leaves the large looming mountains behind and brings us more into the gently rolling mountains and a very exciting event. Our very first rowing a boat on a hike experience. Orion just rowed across the river. Great job, baby. 1 kilometer, not easy. Pretty long, but he did it. And I directed, of course.
Directed.
We were fortunate enough to have 2 boats at our side of the lake. If there was just one, we would have had to row 3 times.
There's 3 boats in total, so 2 on one side, 1 on the other. And now they've taken the 1 boat that was here to the other side. Now they have to tow 1 back and then row back again, leaving a boat for us.
So you're not only weather dependent, but also dependent on the boats and your fellow hikers. And the distances are like from 1, sometimes to 3 kilometers, I think. So it's quite a distance. Sometimes it's a few hundred meters, and then it was fun. But if it's 1 or 2 kilometers, you put your bootstraps on and back and forth, and you can lose an hour or 3. It's part of the experience.
We walk through Stora Sjöfallet National Park, across green-brown mountains and thundering rivers. It seems like we've arrived at the right time to see the famous Sami reindeer herds.
Okay, cool. This is the area of the Sirgasami community. In November, the herders round them up for the move back down. On hot summer days, the reindeer move up to the glaciers and remaining snow. In the area, there are wolverines, lynxes and bears, which all attack reindeer. It means significant losses for individual reindeer owners.
But other than reindeer, we come across more and more hikers again. We arrive just in time to catch the bus, and the bus drops us off at our first shuttle boat stop. To be honest, transportation on the Kungsleden is quite hard on your wallet, especially when you're on a budget. And our wallets are about to hurt even more, because the boat stops directly at the infamous Nordkalottruta cabin. In this section of the trail, the huts were a bit more flexible concerning the Noro outbreak, so we booked us a night at the cabin on the spot. We had heard so much good about this place, but even the stories didn't do it justice. The next morning is slow and easygoing. We're hesitant to leave this special place, but we are running out of time and money. It starts to feel like we are truly hiking again, and we pick up the pace. Only 10 kilometers in, however, it starts absolutely pouring, and in a matter of minutes, everything feels slightly wet.
Hey Dad, it's not working, so I'll just send you a quick hello video here. It's raining, we're hiking up from a lake, and I think once we get over this mountain there, I think it's gone. We haven't had service in a long time now, but here we are. In Sweden.
Sweden, huh?
Uh-huh.
We look on the map and we see that there's a backcountry hut not very far off. We hike further and scurry inside, only to find an entire scouts group from Berlin there, warming themselves by the fire and singing songs. We heat up some water for a soup, sing Scarborough Fair from their song textbook, and set up camp next to the hut. Next morning, we are awoken by a faint shimmer of sunshine trying to break through the clouds. We pack up our belongings, strap them to our bags, and head for the Sito-Jorestu.
They said those two guys are fast hikers, huh?
Yeah, they're hauling ass, huh? Goodbye again, sunshine.
On today's menu, however, there's another boat transfer, one that we cannot do ourselves. And shiveringly, we see that it costs 40 euros per person, one way. We look on the map, but there's absolutely no other way around it. The scouts group arrives too, and they are stunned because they're hiking on a much lower budget than we are.
It would be a 30-minute boat ride or something, and then we're paying 80 euros for it. And they would have an entire boat full of people. Sometimes there would be 10 people or more in one boat.
The family that runs the boat transfer lives right there at the shore, and they offer 2 boat transfers per day. Honestly, it's great that we as hikers can contribute to the families living off-grid in the Swedish wilderness, but that comes with a price.
I love supporting people. I love supporting locals. It adds up after 4 or 5 crossings.
The woman drops us off at the other side of the lake, and we go off our merry own ways. We set up camp not much further, and we watch an amazing sunset. The next day is bound to be a special one. That's the day we climb to Skirfe. Merely 1,100 meters high, but you feel like you're on top of the world. And what a world that lies below the cliffs at our feet. The rivers and streams of Sarek slither like snakes on the ground. And there's all kinds of emerald, lime and fern green that draws your attention to what lies beneath. Deltas are always a sight to behold, and Skirfe is no exception. When we eventually scramble down to Akse, we're able to rent a bunk bed and are beyond happy. We take advantage of the sauna, wash away our sins, and we watch a mountain hare hop around the sauna cabin. What a life, so close to nature. The evening gets better, as it turns out that there's no one else staying in our room. So like the night owls that we are, we stay up late, reading A Man Called Ove under candlelight. We get an early start next morning in order to walk a longer distance. Alas, we don't get really far. At exactly 10 a.m., we're stuck at the boat ramp with no boat to row across the lake. This means that another hiker must have rowed the last boat across and did not row another boat back. This is a violation of all the hiker etiquette at the Kungsleden.
We had to wait for somebody to come back. And that took a long time, so we were like, oh, damn. Maybe they were a bit too lazy to go, to bring a boat back.
After 2 hours of waiting, we see some movement. He decided to wait until other people would show up. Ryan took it on him to row the long distance across with the somewhat shabby oars of the rowing boat. And at 2 p.m., 4 hours later, we finally reach the other side of the lake and are able to get a move on. The rain has spoiled the forest, and the plants and trees seem so lush and awake. There's all kinds of different smells and sounds. It's wonderful, really. Or is there just something in the Swedish water? That's possible too. After some hours of sunshine, rain greets us again, and we decide that it's time to set up our tent in the Sarek forest, hiding from the happy mosquitoes and the raindrops. We are tired, we are happy, and we fall asleep gently.
Smell that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Smells good too.
We are approaching Kvikjokk, the Arctic's gateway to Sarek and Padjelanta National Park. The STF mountain hut is still closed to new visitors because of the norovirus that is still going on. But we're running out of food, so we wait in line outside to visit the store one by one. We book an Airbnb in Kvikjokk and take the boat ride out of town together the following day. This ride was a little cheaper than the previous one, and we couldn't be more glad. Our boat driver also was part of the rescue team of Sarek and Padjelanta, and we listened to his stories in awe. He drops us off at the shore when we start to feel raindrops. No surprise there. This is northern Sweden after all, and that means plenty of rain.
What are you doing right now?
Hiding from the rain. Not doing the best job. We're in the southern part of the Kungsleden now, where the landscape is clearly a lot less mountainous. Instead, we traverse hillsides, tundra landscapes, and thick spruce and birch forests. Our surroundings are still nothing but picturesque, and we set up camp that night next to a bridge and an old weathered backcountry hut. From Kvikjokk onwards, the trail is obviously less populated, and we notice this in the infrastructure as well. Where there were once perfect wooden platforms, we now tread in the water and marshes, due to rotting or broken bridges.
The southern section of the trail is not hiked very often, so it doesn't receive as much maintenance. It turns into more, your feet are going to be very wet down there. You're gonna have to deal with mud. The trail closes in a bunch. It's kind of thick, kind of brushy, a little bit of, we can't call it a bushwhack after the Great Divide Trail. After that trail, you really got what you would call a bushwhack, but yeah, it was a little denser and not as well maintained in the south.
Oh goodness, and here it gets nasty again. There's a lot of this, but oh look at that, it's getting better. A lot of mud. Yeah. Better get over it.
We know that it's not easy, keeping a hiking trail well managed under nature's heavy conditions, as we clearly experienced on the Canadian Great Divide Trail and even the Pacific Crest Trail. We promised each other to donate some money from this video to the STF, if this video would bring up some money.
That was Katie Melua. I like listening to music on the trail, very quietly. This is Steve Gunn. This section here is a little bit wilder. Most wildlife that you'll see is reindeer herds, so not very wild because they still get herded by the Sami people, the indigenous people of this land. Yeah, it's fun, we're having fun. This is my, teacher's holiday. Ow. Summer months, July and August, and we're enjoying it.
I guess there's nothing left to say. Never thought that I would have to let you go. I wish that I could make you stay.
The nights grow longer and colder as we move south, and we can feel autumn in the air, even though it's still only August. Seems like summer here up north have a pretty short window.
Beautiful lake here. Ryan's over there somewhere with ear pods in his ears so he won't hear you.
When we arrive after the section in Jakvik with some fellow hikers, we take advantage of the amazing hiker hostel in town, located next to a supermarket. We even meet a fellow American in the dining room. We feast for 3 days long, but in the meanwhile, we make some hard decisions.
The Kungsleden ends in a town called Hikingadventures, but in true misadventure fashion, we didn't get to finish the Kungsleden either.
Yeah, very, very unexpectedly, I accepted a new job and I wanted to prepare because my job starts the 1st of September as a teacher.
So we cut the trip short, we took the easy way out, and instead of hiking 3 40-mile days, we just took a train down to Stockholm. And then I went straight back into work too, so it was good for me as well. I started a new job working as a greenkeeper at a golf course.
That's just life, isn't it? It takes its twists and turns and we'll just go along with it. And if this is what we have to do now for that new job, well, that's what we do then. Whatever, we'll make the best of it, finish up that last part of the trail later, and just go to Stockholm, enjoy it there for a day or two, and go with the flow.
Does that mean that we didn't complete the Kungsleden? Yep. Is that the 3rd hike that summer that we didn't complete? Also yes.
The midnight sun.
Yet it doesn't feel like a failure. We spent 2 months together in one of the most beautiful corners of the world. We finally experienced solitude for the first time in months. We hitchhiked, slept in, swam in lakes, climbed mountains, and ate the best cinnamon buns.
We set out to hike a 1,200 kilometer long route across the Arctic, and we failed. But at the same time, we weren't having fun. So I give us all the credit in the world then for not pushing on just to say we did something, to change our plans and to turn it into a trip that we really love and enjoyed, instead of pushing on just to do a thing.
Moreover, we got each other's back when things went south and came up with new ideas for new adventures. We decided to choose happiness, whatever got in the way of our plans. Life takes many twists and turns, and we think it's best to just go with the flow.
Tack.
Tack.
Tack means thank you.
Tack.
When saying thank you very much, you just need to add tusen at the beginning. Tusen tack.
Tusen tack.
Tusen tack.